Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. We are on verse 15, but I want just to recall the verse 14. Then that Arjuna, who was wonderstruck and thrilled, saluted the Lord with his head bent low and spoke with great gratitude, folded palms and so on. And then Swami explained that not only Arjuna was seeing that, yeah, but also I forgot the name of the guy who was describing the vision to the Lord. Therefore, Vyatacharya has somehow provided the spiritual eyesight to the Mr. Describer that I'm not finding his name here.
Mr. Sanjaya.
Sanjaya, yeah. Sanjaya, and that went on. So we have seen that. It took some time to Arjuna to collect himself together to begin talking to Arjuna as if describing his vision. And the first and foremost reaction or response of Arjuna was Vismayaha or Askaryam, which means, I believe, wonderment, or not? Yeah, and that's why I went on to say that usually we don't see the glory of the Lord because we have superimposed our likes and dislikes. So any and all configurations of the gunas of Maya around us, we say, oh, this I like, this I. So we never see in general the glory of the Lord until we begin seeing it. And Swami presents, we have this subjective view of reality through our ragged vesha, kama, krodha, and so on, ahamkara, and we miss the Lord. Yeah, well put. And then Swami says, yeah, the world seems to be strange, especially through Kali Yuga, with all these genocides and so on all over the place, wars. But yet we need to find the Lord behind everything. And we need to understand the law, the nature of the Lord as a, how you say, impersonal system that somehow gives back to us our prarabdha karma on a collective level and personal level, circumstantial level. And we need to develop that kind of understanding so that we can still see the wonder of the Lord, the glory of the Lord, the beauty of the Lord, the supreme intelligence behind a lot of violations of dharma or adversities. Yeah? So we should never become too negative in that sense. We should be able to hold out projections and allow our vision to see the Lord regardless of the yuga. Looking at the totality rather than being caught up in a very narrow vision, we just look at the totality without being caught up in the very narrow vision. This is Ishvara Darshana. One can see everything in terms of macrocosmic vision, but they still can see from the standpoint of science. They will be wondered. And I remember the first time I was living in the USA, I saw a map of the cosmos. A friend of mine had, in his wall with the universe as we know and all the system, the solar system, different system, different galaxies. And when you see, and then there were a lot of written in there, printed to for anyone to get more or less the proportions in time, in terms of time, space. So that gives a sense of wonderment to any mind, but not necessarily is going to produce a devotional wonderment, a wonderment permeate by the recognition of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Intelligence. But more often than not, people find the beauty of the universe in nature, as you know, waterfalls and forests, and the ocean is a big one. Everything that's huge is is huge, is vast, and gives us a sense of paramatma, paramatma. Okay. Bhishma, Drona, Karma, etc., entering the mouths of the Lord. That was the vision of Arjuna, because he was so focused on the war that he saw Krishna, his good friend, his neighbor, the king nearby. He saw it as the destroyer, which is one of the aspects of the Lord, features of the Lord, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer. He saw that, and from that angle, he was so caught up emotionally, sentimentally with his friends on the other side of the field of war, that he saw, he project that concern about killing, and then he saw everything as the Lord and his good friends and relatives being described, being crushed. So it is a clear actual event, Bisma, Drona, etc. So is it a literal event or a poetic description? Doesn't matter. No? So it's better we understand in terms of symbolism, especially because nowadays it's almost impossible to find a real, fair, just, unsolicited wall. Most walls are just for the sake of control, power, and supremacies. So it's clear, it's a symbolism of what happens within every human being. The description is that there is a power that kills everyone, and this power is one of the features of the Lord. And Arjuna has seen from that angle because he was caught up emotionally. Arjuna at least could understand that it was not him who was going to kill him, it's God himself, okay? So I often put in times of Kali Yuga as nowadays, so human jivas can do very little to reestablish Dharma, but the Lord can come and crash everything and then bring it all back to life again. Bhishma Drona, since we know that Bhishma Drona were killed by Arjuna, oh, that's good to know, Swamiji. So he won the battle and Arjuna killed all the bad guys. So they're entering the mouths is only a poetic, symbolic description. Similarly, Vyasacharya describes Arjuna as seeing not only the Lord crashing everyone, but saw all the locusts. This is all symbolic. It's not necessarily physically true. It's the uniqueness of vision. He looked at this loka as Ishwara's Sharira, body. He saw the locusts, he had this vision of what was about to occur. So suppose you want to say, no, it is not poetic, it is literal. So some people get disappointed. Swami says because I suggest that it's just poetic, symbolic. They want to attribute something mystic. People want mysticism. Yeah. No kidding. Everybody wants something mystic or esoteric that could prove certain teachings, certain aspects of our teachings. People will say, no, no, Arjuna was literally seeing this interdimension, these higher dimensions. Then even if you say Arjuna really got the vision of higher lokas, then remember seeing like higher lokas is not a really important part of Vishvarupa Darshana. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what kind of vision through whatsoever loka. The key here is to see the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Intelligence, holding it all together, sustaining it all together, bringing the Parabhata karma of the entire manifestation to all jivas. And don't get caught up in mysticism. Vedanta has nothing to do with esoteric things, and none of that is going to help anybody. So it's another distraction. I call sometime in my Brazilian group mystic or esoteric samsara. Seeing higher lokas will not guarantee liberation, definitely. Seeing lower lokas will not guarantee liberation. There was a time I was living in the USA, I was fascinated with a YouTube channel of a woman who was, since early age, she was traveling, going to lower lokas to help people who were stuck there. And the description was fascinating. But again, she may have this, but she was as self-ignorant as any other people listening to her. It's interesting, it's curious, there is so much in the invisible realms around us, these invisible dimensions in relation to our senses, sensual apparatus. But none of that is going to give us the knowledge and not even the wonder or the devotion in regards to whatsoever is happening. Everything is happening due to the glory of the Lord. And if I start getting caught up with things that are more hidden, more mystical, more esoteric, and then I go in occultism, and this secret school that, oh, you're going to learn something here, something. It's samsara, and cannot be really at all demonstrated or validated this knowledge, But people get as distracted and caught up in the invisible world of esoteric mystic concept as with the physical material mundane world, in which we get caught up with our bodies and other objects we perceive through our bodies. It's all samsara. Seeing any of these higher lokas or lower lokas traveling, leaving your body, and this and that is an experience. Leaving the body is an experience that has a certain value, to my opinion, because at least everybody who has a out of the body experience has gets somehow for a moment that there is something other than I, the body, because I was witnessing my body. So what is this I could trigger the beginning of self-inquiry. But more often than not, my opinion is that people go back to the body, and the identification with the body as the body is so profoundly hardwired that immediately it comes back. So only knowledge is going to loosen up this mistaken, painful identification with the body-mind. Therefore, remember, even if Arjuna saw higher lokas and saw Brahmajis and all the devas in different lokas, we from Vedanta, we give no importance of these things, What is important at this level here is the vision of the Lord, Vishvarupa Darshana. So I'm seeing the Lord manifest as this or that. It does not need to be seeing the Lord as manifest in the 11th dimension or 12th dimension or 13th dimension or in Brahmaloka dimension. It does not mean anything, you know. Vishvarupa is something very simple. See the Lord here manifest in this physical material, Vyavaharika. Therefore, remember, what Arjuna sees is not important, but the way he sees it, how he sees it, what he sees beyond and behind this physical material body of the universe. This vision is Vishvarupa Darshana. The manner of seeing is highlights not the object Vishvarupa, the vision, but the manner, the eyes that can see the Lord behind this macro version of the Lord himself. The manner of seeing is highlights not the not the object. Oh, how did you see this and that? But no, you are just seeing the Lord. Oh, how did you see the Lord? I mean, I saw the Lord through all Lord's namarupas. Oh, but I see the namarupas, but I don't see the Lord. Too bad for you. I see the namarupas and I see the Lord. Okay? Whether it's an ordinary vision or extraordinary vision, what you see does not give you a spiritual growth, but the attitude by which you see it is a sign of spiritual growth. How you see that alone guarantees a spiritual growth. And that's why Indra is saying Svagaloka all the time. But that does not guarantee liberation to Indra. Indra is also Maha Samsari, only, all the time afraid of people doing tapas. So I remember vaguely this story. Any one of you remember it more clearly, the story of Indra and his fear of people doing spiritual sadhanas that maybe could dethrone him?
Well, the thing is, India got to his position through intense tapas. And so he's scared of competition because if he can get there, anybody else can get there also. So that's basically what it's saying there.
Yeah. There's seeing any of these satalokas in Vishvarupa is not important, but seeing the ordinary loka in which we live as the very physical material body of the Lord, as the cosmos, that is to be emphasized here. Therefore, he saw everything as the Lord. That is to be highlighted. That is the very important thing, and we rather stay in the Vyavaharika vision, the physical material vision of what we call our environment. Okay.
Arlindo, here we're talking about Ishwara, right, as the manifestation of, or the first of expression of the Sat Chit Ananda. So eventually we have to go beyond even Ishwara, am I right, to see this, the existence as everything, the limitlessness, the
Yeah.
awareness.
Definitely.
So, but here we're just talking about Vishwarupa.
We are talking about Sagunishwara, not Nirguna.
Saguna. Okay, great.
Saguna.
I always get the Ishwara is used so differently in so many.
Yeah.
You really have to pull out the context.
It's also Saguna, it's Ishwara, and it's a more tangible Saguna because the vision of the Lord is suggests as the vision of the physical material tangible universe as we see around us, because all the other concepts about galaxies and universe, they are conceptual objects. We don't really sense them directly, but in our environment we are able to get the vision of this Saguna Ishvara literally manifests through the elements, the trees, the birds, and everything around it, the other people, the chairs. So we are seeing the Lord manifest Saguna by as the configurations of the elements itself. So I like to always stretch a little bit this vision of Visvarupa Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara, as inviting people to also see beyond the Namarupas and see the intelligence, the supreme intelligence sustaining it, holding it. Okay, so that is a step forward. So now I'm seeing that the Lord is not only the effect of its material cause, but he is also the effect of its intelligent cause. And what is this effect of its intelligence cause? This is the miracle of life, the intelligence behind every flower, every bird, every human, every creature, every rock. So we can see also Vishvarupa on a subtle level, which is not an extraordinary vision. It sees Ishvara as the intelligent cause which produces the intelligent effect, which is the laws and principles sustaining this physical material universe. That is not a mystical, esoteric vision. That is a vision of knowledge, because we understand Saguna Ishvara as the supreme intelligence holding it all in place. Okay, so it's a little more subtle way to see Vishvarupa, which has nothing to do with mysticism of seeing Ishvara manifest in these higher dimensions or lower dimensions, howsoever we wish. Now, right, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. Seeing Ishvara everywhere as everything.
Therefore, seeing extraordinary locus is not important, but seeing the ordinary loc in which we live is the goal here. Therefore, and what I'm trying to say is to see the ordinary loca as we see here. It's very easy, even scientifically. The scientists, they are aware that everything is intelligently designed. You understand? So we are seeing the configurations and we are seeing the architect behind that, because that knowledge is accessible without any extraordinary epiphany, It's common knowledge. So that is another way of seeing Vishvarupa as the intelligent cause manifesting as this intelligently designed universe. The verse 16, I see you everywhere with countless forms, with many arms, abdomens, mouths, and eyes. I see neither your beginning, nor the middle, nor the end, O Lord of the universe, O Lord with the universal or cosmic form. So there is a lot in this verse. Now, he sees the Lord as everyone's eyes, everyone's arms, everyone's body, abdomens, mouths. So he sees the Lord as the totality of all human constructs, And he sees the Lord not only as this manifestation of everything, represented by the jivas, the human jivas, for example, but I don't see when you begin and where you end. So, and then it again presents the concept that the Lord is beginningless and endless, meaning to say, again, Ishvara is outside of the space-time. We had this discussion recently, If you cannot see when the Lord begins and where the Lord ends, it means the Lord is outside of the space-time, because the Lord creates the space. The space as a byproduct creates time. So the Lord is the creator. He should be free and independent from time and space. And I see you as the manifestation of all bodies. But I don't see you within time and space, because I don't see you beginning or ending, or Lord of the universe, manifest and as the universe form. So here things become more clear. Vishvarupa Darsha is not an extraordinary mystic vision, but an extraordinary attitude. So nice. He presents here this vision not as an epiphany, as a mystical vision, but he says, but it's not an extraordinary, no, it's not an ordinary way you see things. Okay, he says it is an extraordinary, not vision, but attitude behind your vision, which is nicely put. So you have to develop a certain extraordinary vision, which is equal. It's not the esoteric thing, which is equal to an attitude, a devotional attitude, a refinement, a sensitivity to see the Lord behind everything in the universe. And in my take is the easiest way to recognize the Lord is to see the intelligence holding it together. You understand? So you see the Namarupas. Before Namarupas, you were seeing just as Namarupas, things to consume. Now you see the beauty, the intelligence, the design, and everything. And that has nothing to do with a mystic eye, but an extraordinary, not ordinary way you see through your eyes, but an extraordinary way you see everything which is ordinary, but they become extraordinary the moment that you have that extraordinary attitude, which is a devotional. I mean, to see the Lord is something very mysterious. It's a devotional vision, devotional attitude is a recognition that there is a supreme intelligence, holding it all in place, destroying it from time to time as well. So how are you going to get to see that sensitivity, refinement, and then we start seeing it. Otherwise, we only see Namarupas, we only see the elements. Without question, how come these elements arise? So that extraordinary attitude towards the ordinary things of creation. The things are ordinary. My eyes are ordinary, but my vision is extraordinary. And that is here, beautifully pointed out. Vishvarupa. I see the Vishvarupa of you, Lord, which has got countless arms, hands, stomachs, and whatnot, faces, and so on. What does it mean? Again, remember that I told you in the last class, do not imagine one Lord standing there having all bodies of the universe, past, present, and future, all mouths, all this stuff. No, that's not the point. It's just the other way around. You're going to see all faces as the face of the Lord, all bodies as the body of the Lord. It's not one Lord as all bodies and all faces, but all faces, all bodies, you cognitively has the sensibility, the refinement to see the Lord behind all bodies, behind all faces, behind all arms. They are all Vishvarupa, Ishvara, Angani. What is Angani? Angani? Ishwarasya Angani. Vishvarupa Ishwarasya Angani. It is an attitudinal change that is to be. Therefore, only Ananda Rupa. So, our Lord, you have limitless forms, numberless forms, I would say. What wonderful creation, they say. One thumb impression will not be the same as another. And one denture, thank you, Swamiji, talking about denture here. This alignment will not be the same as one another. Sometimes one brings such descriptions of the plurality of the manifestation of the Lord. Each one is Vishvarupa Ishvara, the totality. I do not see the middle, the beginning, and the end. This is the next topic within that verse, because the beginning, middle, or end of the cosmos. So how can I see the beginning, the middle, and the end of the cosmos? We can't. Cognitively, as an object of knowledge, we don't have that knowledge, because even scientists cannot find the beginning and the end of this universe. They just say that it keeps expanding, keeps going. So we don't see. This is one way more practical, pragmatic to describe the verse. I don't see you beginning, I don't see you ending, I don't see the middle of you, because I don't know how vast you are as Saguna Ishvara. You seem to be limitless as Saguna Ishvara. But as we know, this Saguna Ishvara is not really limitless. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, meaning to say, when Maya decides to take a nap in the afternoon, he just recalls everything into the seed of the cosmos. Scientists have not found the edge, the end of the cosmos. They are struggling. Since we have not seen outer periphery of the cosmos, we do not know physically the dimension of the cosmos. So this is not seeing the beginning, the middle, and the end in a special manner. Spatially speaking, I cannot see where is the middle, the beginning, and the end, because you are so vast. And the other is temporarily, a limitation of time or illimitation of time. I cannot see when you began in time. I cannot see when you will end in time, and therefore I cannot see the middle. If I don't see the beginning in time and your end in time, I cannot see the middle, which means to say that the supreme intelligence is outside of space-time. How can you talk about middle? Because we talk about middle, that is the middle and so on, the middle of this room. But we need to know, the Lord, you are limitless in terms of time and space. O Lord of the universe, Vishvarupa Lord, whose body is the cosmos, Vishvarupa derivation, if you remember the teaching, will be clear. The derivation of the word Vishvarupa is the one whose body is the world, the universe, the cosmos itself. The world bodied Bhagavan, as if the Lord has incarnated as the entire cosmos. So this is Vishvarupa, the vision of Ishvara, as if taken up the body of the cosmos as his own body. I see you as a mass of effulgence shining everywhere, with crown, mace, and disc. I see you all around, radiant like blazing fire and sun, blinding and immeasurable. So, he sees the Lord as a mass of effulgence shining everywhere with crown. What is crown, mace, and disc? Please, you probably a crown, a mace, and a disc.
I think they threw it like a frisbee.
Okay.
Yeah, it would obviously be a weapon of some sort, I would imagine.
Okay. So he sees that that character, that representation of the Lord as the Lord, as the King of the cosmos, the Creator. So this, of course, is human's mind projection, as the Lord is there creating, owning this universe as a creator and the destroyer and the sustainer. And it's a shining, so it's a effulgence shining everywhere with crown. Okay. I see you all around, radiant like the blazing fire and sun, blinding and immeasurable. So he talks here about another aspect of the Lord as radiant, self-effulgence, shining with what? With light. Light of what? Light of knowledge, light of consciousness. Okay. Shwara, we have to remember, is a very, very pure reflection of original limitless consciousness. The, the consciousness that the original pramana that reveals, illumines, and reveals the entire cosmos to the jivas, the actors. So it's shiny because of the reflection occurring in the prakriti of Maya to produce this total intelligence is something that would blind anybody if you have a mystic experience of that light of pure knowledge, pure sattva guna, pure consciousness, or a reflection of pure consciousness, which is almost of the same nature in terms of chit, in terms of knowledge, clarity of knowledge, of vision, perception, or whatever. So you have got thousands of Kiritan. Kiritan means thousands. How come Bhagwan has thousands of Kiritan? Again, do not imagine anything extraordinary or mystic. All the Kirat in the heads of the kings. Now he's calling the crown the Kiritan here. So I see this Lord. I will have to say, I see the cosmos and I see this crown, above the cosmos. So it's a symbolic, of course. So don't imagine that there is a Lord with a head and a kiritan in the head of the Lord, like we see in the kings. So it means to say that all the crowns of all kings, past, present, future, are the crowns of the Lord, are the kiritans of the Lord, because all heads of all kings are the heads of the Lord. And then there is something about the kings and the lords, the kings and God, that the kings used to believe that they were chosen by God to reign and to govern their people. And that can be discussed because not all kings were fair kings, just kings, dharma kings. Therefore, all Kiritans are Bhagwan's Kiritans. Gadinand, because you're going to say something, Lynn? You did like that?
Just scratch.
Because of battlefield, all of them have come with Gada, and therefore I see you with thousands of Gadas, and so on. Okay, that's interesting. So again, it's a projection of Arjuna, because he is caught up with the battlefield, the war. And then he knows that the kings, they show up there, and not just as the driver of the chariot of Arjuna, you're my driver, okay. No, now he's seeing him not as the driver, but as the king, okay? And he has the crown, he has the gather. So I see you with thousands of gathers because you are just a symbol of all kings showing up in the battlefield to protect or reestablish dharma, with thousands of chakras and so on. You are a master of effulgence. That's what I'm mostly interested to see what Swami says. You are master of effulgence naturally. The Lord consists of millions of stars. Each one is a mass of light, effulgence. Then, shining in all directions, and directions are meaningless in the cosmos. If you look from the earth, you can talk about east, west, and so on, keeping our ordinary sun as the reference point. If you are standing on the sun, hypothetically, you have no clue about east, west, and so on. You have no clue about sunrise and sunrise and sunset. Standing on the sun, all of that disappears. Remember, they are all imaginations by a pity mind. In the Vishvarupa, all these do not exist at all, therefore you shine all over. What is the meaning of pity mind? Small mind?
Yeah, petty means small and weak.
Yeah. Therefore, so your effulgence is so dazzling, so glaring, that I'm not even able to open my eyes to see you completely. If you have any doubt tomorrow afternoon, look, and that's what I'm saying to his audience, to his student. If you have any doubt in in analogy, look at the sun around noon, especially there in Chennai. The sun, which is so far away, it's gonna make you turn you blind. So when the mountaineers go to the upper range of the Himalayas, it's all over, capped by snow. Everywhere you look, there is snow, and the sun reflects, and there is a dazzling that if you do not have special glasses, you may lose your eyesight. This is very, very important, very beautiful, a nice touch of simple, practical example. There is so much reflection in the white snow that one may lose one's eyesight. This is the reflect sun. Then let's talk about the original sun. No, never look to the original sun. Even when you are here in Chennai, without any snow, never look at the original. Remember, all of them are Vishvarupa. All these lights in the sky, in the night, reflected here, our little sun, and its reflections in everywhere we have reflections of the sun. This is the effulgence of the Lord Ishvara. You see, has a nice connotation here because we see the Lord through its namarupas. Once we develop that kind of devotional vision or Vedic vision. But like here, we could say that we are seeing a reflection of the Lord. We are seeing the Lord reflect in a flower, in a bird. As we know, the Lord shines as all its namarupas. So we can see all of these things, but the overall vision is something so beyond that is said here. We only see small reflections of the sun, but don't look at the sun directly because you may not be able to handle it. So we see the reflection of the Lord in every bit and piece creatures around us, and that is enough. That's enough to understand this this Lord, which is beyond our intellectual understanding or vision as a cosmic Lord. We see its reflections here. Gather nuts and you see the enjoyment gets a totally different dimension. It's interesting because we see the Lord. You see, there is another angle to this one that's very beautiful. We, in the process of self-inquiry and self-knowledge, we have to begin seeing the reflection of Saguna Ishvara in its numberless Namarupas. We start seeing the Lord reflected now. And seeing the Lord reflect, seeing every manifestation, Namarupa, being a reflection of the Lord, we are able to develop a certain relationship or attitude toward the Lord that prepares us to understand and see that the Lord in its true nature is not made out of Sattvaguna, but is made out of something of the nature of conscious existence, the only reality. And then we see this conscious reality, the only reality, conscious existence. We start searching for it, and then we're going to get the reflection of this consciousness as the human intellect. And then by observing and inquiring into the nature of this reflection, we may be able to understand that the reflection of original nirguna, Ishvara, consciousness, is identical to the reflection occurring as the human intellect. So the nature of my intellect is the same nature of nirguna consciousness, Brahman. Did I make it simple? Having developed this attitude, go to Badrinath, go to Kedarnath, and you see the enjoyment gets a totally different dimension. I took the people to Amarnath by mistake. That's a story. I think I remember this story. He took the people to a pilgrimage in this place. Yeah? He said, I was not aware of how risky it was. So I was not aware that ignorance is bliss. I had 90 or 100 people with me. By idiocracy, I took the people and all on the wrong side of 60 years. So meaning to say they were beyond 60. Wrong side. So later, we used to tell Amarnarthi should not become Marnarthi. Mar means Maranam. And I told all the people that it is an ice lingam, so purely at the mercy of the weather. So if the temperature increases, that is the warmth of the visitors, it is a cave, therefore the lingam melts. So it's an ice lingam, it seems, a mountain that looks like a lingam. He took everybody there. Let's remember the story. I not remember the details here. So we take all the trouble to reach that so that we can get a vision. I kept warning the people. They said, okay. So I'm fit for this. I keep warning. Many people came at the time. Okay. They said, and unfortunately, what we did not want to happen, happened. These people begin struggling, going in all directions, all kinds of vehicles. mules and falling from them, struggling and running, and all we see Nirguna and Brahman. That's how I consoled myself. That is because we are all sadhana tatustaya sampanahi adhikari. So he brings here, we are seeing the Nirguna Lord, and all we see Nirguna Brahman. That's how it. So, but I have planned to enjoy the whole 48 miles or certain numbers of kilometers route, which is one of the most wonderful Vishwarupa of the Lord. Therefore, I never had disappointment. And those who were looking only for Lingam, suppose. So as it seems, and suppose after climb on the donkey and the mule, and you cannot enjoy the sight because you are trying to find your balance. And for unfortunately, that person who has to guide us, he does not like to walk along with the donkey. He always goes somewhere else. And then you are frightened, and then you do not know the language of those people, and you scold him. Okay. But he does not understand anything, so therefore neither they had Vishwarupa darshan. Bottom line, I walked, I enjoyed truly, therefore I did not miss the Vishwarupa. So, recapping this story, the funny thing here is that people were not seeing Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana. And what is the part that he said? All I see is Nirguna. Here. They are struggling, running, and all we see, they would say, when we see Nirguna Brahman, we don't see the beauty of Saguna Ishvara manifest as the linga we came here to see, meaning to say, I'm only seeing Nirguna. That's how I consoled myself. That's because we are all, still preparing ourselves for self-knowledge. It was a total chaos. Nobody enjoyed. But Swamiji enjoyed, and he did not miss the Vishwarupa Darshana. What I'm saying, after appreciate the Vishwarupa, go to any one of the shrine. In fact, we have installed the deities there only for developing Vishwarupa Darshan. That is why we have temples in all unreachable places. Otherwise, why should there be a shrine in such a remote place, unreachable place? We could have had in somewhere in town. Why did they choose? After all, God is everywhere. The purpose is gradually change your attitude, and your attitude is going to create an extraordinary vision of something which is just in your town. To see the very nature of Bhagwan, all you need is to change your attitude. You do not need to go 40, 50 miles up in very difficult conditions, because you may go there and you may find your linga was melt by the heat. Anyway, this is an example that came to me towards the Amarnath's last few kilometers, maybe the last 1 or 2 kilometers. The snow was frozen. You only walk over a frozen snow. Therefore, if there is sunlight, then the dazzling sunlight comes. And as we understood, it's even dangerous to open your eyes. So that reminds me, and therefore dazzling, that experience reminded me of this verse in the Gita in the 11th chapter. Therefore, you cannot open your eyes to see. The Lord's whole effulgence is like the effulgence of the fire, the sun, blazing fire of the sun. So means blazing sun, means effulgence. The Vishvarupa holds effulgence is like that of the blazing fire. So we can save ourselves from so much problem, huh? Because it reminds me also of people going to Tiruvannamalai to do all kinds of tapas and rituals. And reminds me of someone, an Italian guy who used to go there every year, and he used to consider that the most spiritual place. And the only sadhana he used to do was to go around the mountain, Tiruvannamalai. And, no, mountain is the Arunachala mountain. I'm getting tired by now. So Arunachala, he used to go, and if you were good devotee, you have to go barefoot, and then you get a lot of germs and parasites and infections in your foot, and you keep going, believing that you are doing a very highly important, sadhana. So when we come to Vedanta, all of that is absolutely uh, unnecessary. Okay. So you, even as a good Kama Yoga, you don't need to go, you don't need to do things. You just need to develop this sensibility, refinement, to see God as the very manifest universe in our environment and the intelligence holding it together. To verse 18, you are the supreme imperishable one to be known. You are the ultimate support of this universe. You are the eternal protector of the eternal dharma. I read you as the eternal Purusha. We're going to see tomorrow because I really got tired. We saw this reading.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Thank you. Thank you. We meet tomorrow again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Till tomorrow, Shvara willing. Bye bye.